population projected to increase to 214 million by 2025, nearly 100% increase since 2000. Smoking. India has 120 million smokers, second only to China. Aren't these facts alarming? Now, coming on to a business rationale for wellness programs. What do we understand by wellness? If I go by the definition, wellness is commonly defined as an organized set of activities designed to help individuals and their family members make and or maintain voluntary behavior changes that help reduce their health risk and or enhance their ability to function. Now, this function can be multiple roles. When we talk about the business rationale, let's see how it affects. Organizations have a strong interest in chronic disease prevention by managing their employee health risk as it impacts, number one, healthcare costs, number two, productivity and performance of the individuals. Let's see, how does it impact the healthcare costs? We see here there's an increase in modifiable health risk increase, employers' health cost by 25%. Just a high glucose level, the cost increases by 35% more. A high blood pressure, the cost increases by 12% more. Heart disease, alarmingly you see the figures, the cost increases 228% more. The health risk factors includes modifiable parameters related to, number one, dietary habits, lifestyle, physical activity, and the stress we all undergo. On the right side, again you see the cost. If you see a baseline of $3,022, when the person goes for a medium risk, how the cost increases. If it's a high risk, how the cost is increasing many fold. Coming to productivity and performance. By 2030, India is expected to lose 17.9 million years of productive lives due to cardiovascular disease in the age group of 35 to 64 years. Now, this is the age where we feel there is no disease. We feel if there is no physical sign of illness, we feel there is no disease. But is that the fact? Let's see. Key observations. Number one, 2% of the capital spent on the workforce is lost to disability and absenteeism arising out of chronic diseases. Number two, productivity losses cost 400% more than the managing chronic diseases. Similarly, if you see the graph on the left side, we have an increase of 25%, lost productivity related to health risk stratification. Medium risk is 25.4% we have shown, high risk 34.5%. Now let's talk about India corporate health trends. We at Quest Diagnostics, we had developed some algorithms basis which Quest Diagnostics India Health Trends reports have been prepared. Quest Diagnostics Corporate Health Trends Report is an analysis of health risk factors, disease prevalence across corporate employees. What is the data source? Analysis of wellness tests done by the Quest Diagnostics India across the corporates. Tests involved. These are laboratory tests, blood pressure, height, weight, and smoking habits. The diseases reviewed in India Health Trends reports are diabetes, which is predominantly type 2 diabetes, cardiac risk, reports risk of developing coronary heart disease in next 10 years, kidney disease, reports prevalence of early signs of kidney disease. So in these reports, there are algorithms defined where we have the tests defined to add up to these algorithms and where the risk factors are calculated. Now, what are the details of these analysis? We saw a gender distribution of 75% males and 25% females. Number of companies in India reviewed were 19, out of which 12 were MNCs and 7 Indian. So what I mean to say is these companies are a kind of reflection to your companies. These are all Indian populations what have been reviewed. So these are all reflection of your companies in one way. We had a participation of 3439 individuals with a time period of 2009 to 2011. It was in 22 locations covering including Mumbai, Delhi NCR, Chennai, Bangalore, Pune, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Cochin, Jaipur, and Lucknow. Now, interestingly, if you see it's the population distribution by age, it's the middle-aged people, right? Majorly, you see the major population is falling between less than 40 years of age, and then we have 13% in the age group of 40 to 50, and then 6% 50 and above. Now let's talk about the diabetes risk. Now, percentage of people with risk of developing diabetes, we found it was 28%. In otherwise, which the population which was considered to be normal, in which 33% were males and 13% were females. Now, interestingly, if you go by the risk distribution by age graph, on an average, you would see the population falling in the age group less than 40 years. Around 25% of them are falling in the risk of developing diabetes. The key observations were 1 in 4 individuals tested were at risk of developing diabetes. Males have a higher risk than females. Risks go up significantly with age. However, almost 1 in 5 individuals below age of 30 are at risk. Now, isn't that alarming? At the age of 40, where we feel we don't have symptoms, now the screening done in normal population, this is the outcome what we are seeing. 1 in 5 individuals below age of 30 are at risk. Now, these diabetes risk calculation factors were taken into account: gender, height, weight, fasting glucose, and the HbA1c levels. Now, this is A1C levels are your blood glucose level for the past around 70 to 90 days, which gives you the glucose status of RBCs. Going to the cardiac disease risk. Very interesting graphs. If you please concentrate. Percentage of people with risk of developing cardiac disease, 63%, out of which 65% were males and 56% females. So we don't see much of gender bias here. It's almost comparable, 65% and 56%. What were the key observations here? Almost 3 out of 4 individuals tested are at risk of developing a cardiac problem. Now, how are we classifying these cardiac problems? These are some kind of coronary artery disease. It could be form of a myocardial infarction or heart failure or high blood pressure or kind of stroke. Males do have a higher risk, but I don't see much of gender bias here. Risk going up with age. However, significant risk emerges even in below 30 age group. See, if you see on the graph left side, we see below 30, 53%, 30 to 40, 66%. Isn't that alarming? Now, cardiac risk calculation factors in also now are taken into account as gender, blood pressure, total and high density lipoprotein cholesterol, and HSCRP. Coming to another chronic disease, prevalence of kidney disease. Now, again, we saw in normal screening what we have done. 7% of the population we found out with renal disorders, in which 4% were males, 16% females. The key observations again were almost 1 out of 10 individuals showed early signs of chronic kidney disease. Females reported higher risk than males. Significant incidence of disease prevalence emerges in below 30 age group. So we have talked about diabetes, we have talked about heart disease, we have talked about kidney disease. In all these things, something common coming up is the age group of 30 to 40. Now, this is a relatively younger age group or a mid-level age group where the population is considered, we consider ourselves to be normal. We don't have physical signs, but something is wrong somewhere. We have all these traits of chronic disease in the form of either it's a tobacco use or lack of physical activity because of long sedentary lifestyle or poor eating habits. Now, all these are contributing to this chronic disease. All these are silently affecting us. Now, kidney disease prevalence estimation factors were blood urea nitrogen, EGFR, microalbumin, and creatinine. Now, coming to this slide, low prior knowledge of chronic diseases. Analysis of laboratory results of 52,270 U.S. employer-sponsored first-time participants for three common disease conditions, which is hyperlipidemia, which is excess of cholesterol levels, diabetes status, and chronic kidney disease revealed. Of those with evidence of chronic kidney disease, 89% were newly identified. I mean, it was silently affecting the individual. Of those with evidence of hyperlipidemia, 59% were newly identified. Now, this hyperlipidemia leads to heart diseases, coronary artery diseases. Of those with evidence of diabetes, 28% were newly identified. So these were all apparently healthy individuals which went for screening, and this is the percentage what we saw in US. In summary, health risk assessment help provide early warning for chronic diseases which are resulting out of our present modern lifestyle changes. Organizations and individuals have an opportunity to use this information and take appropriate lifestyle and health decisions, which not only helps the individuals, but the individuals working in organizations, they become more productive. I mean, they are more fruitful to the company, and that is how the productivity increases. Thank you. That is what I wanted to talk about today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bansal. I think there are some questions that have come in. So if you don't mind, I will just take up one by one, and you could probably help us with your views on the same.
Sure.
Yeah. So one of the questions is, how much is the cost that is borne by the corporates in India on employee wellness? Are there any numbers readily available from with you? These are questions I'm streaming from the audience that have come in, so I'll just take up one by one and help you navigate through it.
I mean, this would vary widely. The exact numbers I would not be able to answer, but it varies widely depending. I could work on this and get back, but to my understanding, this varies widely.
Okay. Is there any industry trend in that sense, where there's probably possibility of more investment by a certain sector? And
I would not say there's an industry trend, but this is more of a modern lifestyle trend, which is across the industries and at different levels. And what we are seeing in our studies, it's more of the mid-level age group which is getting affected because of modern lifestyles, modern working pressure, peer pressures, which is leading to lack of physical activities, poor eating habits. So it's not a particular industry which is getting affected, so it's widespread and across the industries.
Okay. The next question is, you spoke about health risk assessments. How
Yes.
does this work? And if you could elaborate on how do companies actually use this?
Okay, now that's a good question. Health risk assessment is something we have designed some tools looking into the various studies conducted, like what are the major major diseases which are coming up in the form as labeled as chronic diseases or coming up because of the certain habits or lifestyles we have developed. So kidney, heart, and diabetes. These were the three major things we have identified basis a lot of studies conducted. Now we have developed in our health risk assessment program some algorithms where we take certain blood tests, age, gender, different tests, where we take, for example, if I talk about the diabetes, we take gender, we take height, we take weight, we take fasting glucose and HbA1c, as I told you, which gives you the status of the past 70 to 90 days. So there are algorithms developed which gives you the probabilities or the possibilities of acquiring this disease. Are you in a pre-diabetic stage or are you already there? Or or the algorithms do tell you whether there is a probability where you can fall into that criteria. So you can take some preventive actions and a curative effect can happen before you really have an accident. So these health risk assessments are designed to take care, and it's more of a proactive approach than a reactive approach when an accident happens. So that is how the health risk assessments are designed.
Okay. The next question we have is, since there is a monetary cost and productivity loss associated with the risk that you have highlighted, what are organizations doing in terms of educating the workforce to stay healthy?
I would say is what you need to do is you can do it in 3 steps. One is you motivate your people. Now this motivation can start at the highest topmost level. You motivate your employees. This could be in the form of some incentives where anything. When you motivate, you measure it through your health risk assessment to measure what kind of problems do you have in your organization. Once you measure it, then you modify things like, when I say motivate, you drive employee engagement and participation in health risk assessment programs. You can measure them, which could be the health risk assessment includes the biometric evaluation, laboratory-based assessment for risk prevalence of heart, kidney, liver disease, diabetes, and then you try to modify those trends, encourage employees to make necessary lifestyle changes, and seek early medical intervention. Now, the cost which is involved in this is much less. This proactive approach has a much lower cost than a reactive approach when accidents happen, when we do see a casualty happening.
Okay. Could you help us list some of these, proactive measures that organizations take? Because there's another related question that has come in. What are the preventive measures taken by an employer to ensure his employees are healthy enough to perform?
I would say that again. You first motivate them to have these health risk assessments done. The most important thing to understand is, first we should know what's happening. First we should understand where do we stand. What kind of problem are we facing? As I've presented in my slide, we don't have physical symptoms at really early stages, but there's definitely a pathology happening inside because of these chronic diseases. So we need to have a screening program which could be in different different panels form. Say we can have different risk assessment done through different test panels where you evaluate the individual on the whole and come out to an analysis that yes, this is the problem we are facing in that particular individual, and this is how then we get a medical advice that how we should go about it. So till we understand that, so that is the basic, the program which should be running in the companies to understand, to motivate people to go through these programs and then evaluate themselves where do they stand, and then take a step ahead and move towards resolving those issues.
Okay. And there's another question that has come. What are the lifestyle changes you would recommend to prevent such chronic diseases?
Okay, the lifestyle changes could. I do understand the peer pressure, the work pressure we have. A little bit of. I mean, it could be individual to individual how they want to take it. It could be in the form of brisk walking. It could be in the form of a meditation they would like to do. Anything. If the problems are even more grave, you might need to go to a medication level. Otherwise, at a prelim level, uh, healthy exercise regime and trying to get away from the from binging habits or the fast food items which are more of empty calories. That is what I would suggest.
Okay, thank you, doctor. The next question we have is, in what ways is the master health checkup that happens in many organizations different from HRA, health risk assessments?
See, the HRA program offered by Quest is it's just not the values what we give out. We give analysis of the risk factors. I mean, we take into consideration all the factors. I mean, right from the age to weight to height and biochemical test, body mass index. We calculate them and collaboratively we give out a health risk assessment in the form of ratios. What are the probabilities of you having a disease or acquiring it, or if you are still in a green zone. So we divide them and we give a. It's just not the values that come out. We give a ratios of you acquiring the disease.
Okay. There are also queries about, how easy or difficult is it to measure the outcome of any wellness program in an organization? And if you could share some, methods that probably are in practice already.
Could you repeat the question? I didn't get the question well.
How easy or difficult is it to measure the outcome of any wellness program in organizations? Could you share some practices that organizations are already using to measure the outcomes?
From the past experience, what we have done in different companies, the companies have conducted the health risk assessment programs, and basis those results, they have come out with the health indicators of the employees working with them, and basis the outcome of the group, what they come out. I mean, we give them an analysis. Basis that they have found the measures what later they have taken on basis the results what they have got has effectively turned out to help their employees go towards a healthy color and which has really and then helped the company increase the productivity of the employees. I mean, or if I say it other way, I mean, knowing what exactly is happening with the employees has helped them to help the employees get healthier. Maybe it's change of working environment or it's change of some lifestyle changes or giving a balance between the work and the home time. I mean, basis the results, they come to know where exactly the population is standing.
Okay.
Did I answer the question?
I think so. I hope so. Otherwise, we'll soon have another follow-up question coming up.
Sure.
Dr. Bansal, in your slide, someone says in your slide you mentioned that women are more prone to kidney diseases. Can you share any research that reflects why this is such a trend?
I can get back to you on this, but this was an interesting fact which had come out in the populations we have screened. 16%, which was quite a good number, higher from the male population. I can get back to this. If I can have the emails of the person interested, I can get back to the insight on this.
Okay, great. And there are also a lot of queries about if there is any available list of vendors which specialize in HRA, specifically in Chennai. Any information you can share on that, or?
I would not be able to answer that. I can check and get back for Chennai. I mean, we as a company, I think we can do that, but other players, other vendors, I need to check.
Great. So what we'll do is probably whoever asked that question could email on back to us, and we will, get
Sure,
you
and I will
connected
get
with
back.
Quest
I
Diagnostics.
will get
Yeah,
back.
perfect. If there are any other questions, we could take 5 more minutes of question and answer session.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. There's one question that has come up. Do organizations ask for medical history of employees before joining? I mean, is this a trend today? Because there are examples like Shell and Taj Hotels which do that, and and is that the right way to go about it? Is that the norm today?
The companies as such, no. The medical history has not been asked for, but yes, we are doing certain screenings for them. I mean, the basic screening levels are being done, which is more of infectious diseases. But yes, this is what the trend should set in, so that the individuals joining, we can help them. And that is how, I mean, as a company, it could be evaluation of, I mean, you end of the day, if you have a chronic disease already prevalent in the individual, you would be spending more. I mean, there could be absenteeism. So that is what we are trying to emphasize, that yes, such kind of activity should happen. Presently, no, we are not.
Okay, thank you. And can you share the cost factor involved in getting the HRA done for an organization?
I would
Probably an
not be able to
approximate.
say. I would not be able to say that now. But yes, I mean, wherever there is an interest generated, I can ask the relevant people to get back to them and discuss the commercials. I would not be able to answer that question now.
Perfect. So if you can share your email ID on the chat, we'll share it with the presenter, and they will get back to you
Sure.
later.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can give out my email ID.
No, not yours. I think the person who asked the question is they're sending it to me. I'll collate and share it with you.
Definitely, and
Yeah.
we will get back to them.
Yeah. What are the measures an HR team can take for higher participation in such wellness programs?
I mean, it's more of awareness, creating awareness. I mean, the kind of presentation I did today. I mean, if you see the age group getting affected, it's in the age group of 30 to 40, which is younger age group. This itself is a very alarming sign, where we feel we are apparently healthy. We feel we do not have any kind of disease affecting us, but silently there is something going on. I don't say everybody is affected, but if you see the ratios, the kind of ratios we see, yes, there is a good number of population which is affected. So it's more of creating awareness and motivating them to have a screening done at regular intervals. That is what HR, I feel, in today should play a role, motivating people to understand what's going on. Um, if you're in a younger age group, doesn't mean that this is not affecting you. There is a good possibility that it might be affecting you. Sometimes we know that we have certain kind of habits, but we try to run away from that. I mean, we should try to face it. We should try to understand what's going on, and I mean, prevention is always better than cure. So we should
Great.
aim for that, and that is the awareness we should create.
Great. So I think we have one last question. We'll take that, and then we'll close the webinar. For all chronic diseases that you've mentioned, doctors tend to relate it to stress or tension at the workplace. Is it true that that is the only reason behind such chronic diseases?
I would say that is one of the major factors when I talk about diabetes, when I talk about hypertension. That is one of the factors which is adding up to that, which is not the only one. I mean, your dietary habits, your lifestyle habits, I mean, work stress is not the only thing. That's one of the factors. I mean, our sedentary lifestyle, collectively, they are adding up in some form of chronic disease. It's just not one thing. It's collectively adding up to that.
Okay.
But yes,
Great.
stress has a major role.
Thank you, Dr. Bansal. And with this question and answer session, we are going to wrap up today's webinar. Our special thanks to today's webinar sponsor, Quest Diagnostics. You can access more information about Quest Diagnostics from www.questdiagnostics.com. Finally, we would like to extend our warm thank you to the speaker of today, Dr. Anurag Bansal, for your time and for sharing the valuable information with us today. I would like to thank each one of you who participated at the webinar and for your wonderful questions and making this a great presentation. I would also like to, I think there was one query about whether the presentation would be shared. The same would be emailed to all the participants who have logged in for today's webinar. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you, Dr. Bansal.
Thank you.